everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. It is, well, Saturday, right? Yeah, I'm used to being here on Friday. It's Saturday. This is my live readings. Thanks for joining me every other Friday. Usually we alternate between astrology and tarot readings, doing things a little bit differently this month. Thanks for joining. Those of you guys who are already subscribers, thanks for supporting the channel. If you check out my links below, I have subscriptions. The benefit of being a level 3 subscriber is you're going to get one reading, whether it's tarot or astrology, once a month on during my live shows. So we always check in with all of the peeps that we have for the month, just to make sure that we're not missing anybody who is due for their monthly reading. If you are one of those people, please let me know when you would like to jump in and get your reading. I think we only have like 2 people. I'm bringing up the list, so give me just a second, who are available. We have a couple people in the queue. Just a heads up, there is a QR code. There's also a link in the chat, and equally you can send payment through Super Chat. We're charging $1, hello, $20 for one reading, $40 for 3 cards. So one card gets you, $20 gets you 1 card, and $40 gets you 3. Trying to multitask here, sorry guys. So I can pull up my memberships and see who I have here. Thank you guys who are waiting in the chat. I appreciate it. I know we've got a couple people who have already sent stuff in. So give me just a second. Let me see who I've got on my list for memberships. Okay. So people like Jen, Rich, Phoenix, Paula, Nancy, Jessica Martinez, Anjali, Sam, Emma, and Susan. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. You guys are all level 2 or level 3 members. Hello there, Kurt. Nice to see you. I also got somebody who sent me one. Actually, one of the first people who got in today was Rachel. So I don't know if Rachel is here. Thank you for sending your PayPal. Kurt, I'll get you in just a second. If you guys do send me a PayPal donation for the reading, please just let me know if your name differs from your PayPal. Your name on YouTube differs from your PayPal. Just give me a heads up so I am aware. But if we don't have any of our level 3 people, then I'm going to go ahead and get started with Rachel's question. Hello, Bubbles. Happy to read for you. Just let us know if you want a 1 or 3 card reading, and you can send payment to get in the queue for a reading. Those of you guys who are new to my channel, I'm a Western and evolutionary astrologer, and I practice tarot as well. I've been reading for about 14 years. And I love doing these live readings because it's so fun to be able to see what's going on with people on the interwebs. Hey, Rachel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your bill and then your payment. I see that quite a bit, don't worry. All right, so let's look at your question. Rachel says, hello, 1 tarot card reading. Happy Samhain and Halloween. Thank you, you too. I met someone I really like at the end of August, right when my Eros was activated at 29 of Aqua on the full moon. Seemed very passionate very quickly, that we were very interested. Everything seemed like it was gaining momentum with this relationship until the retrograde. He's a Libra. We haven't been seeing each other as much and say that he's busy with work. What seemed like a growing relationship feels a little stalled. My question is this a speed bump or is it time to move on? Let's take a look. And let's see what the card says for Rachel. The shadow period is still very real, guys. And Pluto, you know, we're getting ready to see Mercury come into a square with Pluto one more time. And that's going to be happening over the next couple of days. And then, yeah, once we get to about the 3rd of November, we're pretty much out of the shadow period. But Scorpio season is going to rock and roll. So for Rachel, what's going on with this situation? Is she experiencing just a speed bump, or is it time to move on with this particular person? Page of Pentacles. Pay me to give me a reading. Hey, Kobe. Page of Pentacles. Essentially, here's the thing. So when I'm looking at this in a potential relationship romantic sense, sometimes when the Page of Pentacles comes up, it talks about something being really like immature, it's early, it hasn't quite developed yet. There's like something going on here with the Page of Pentacles that can be insinuating like if he's telling you that he's really busy working, he is. I do think that there's still potential here. It's just saying like it's stunted, or you're not really feeling like he's making the effort. Give me a little bit more insight about your sun, moon, and rising. Can you let me know? I'm really interested that you had that moon activated with your Eros, but the truth is that that activation will kind of come up again when Jupiter crosses your Eros, so that's going to be later this year. But the Page of Pentacles can be like taking not like a wait and see process, but more kind of like, okay, like let's see if he actually like does anything. Let's see if he tries to go out. Let's see if he makes a move. Let's see if he calls me. It's really leaving it up to him. Sometimes when this comes up in a love spread, it can also be like my version of kind of the nightmare boyfriend card, or somebody who's not really quite aware of how to go through the motions of like really showing up in a relationship. So if you're waiting for somebody to call you and say, hey, let's go and grab dinner, it can be a situation where it's just like you're waiting to hear from him and he keeps talking to you, but there's not any really forward momentum. You want to be more focused on physical action. What action is being taken? Is he taking the time or the opportunity or whatever to actually, you know, create space for you? Sun in Scorpio, Leo moon, Scorpio rising. Okay, so the full moon that's coming, the eclipse, I just got done shooting my monthly video for November. It's probably going to come out tomorrow. I talk a little bit about how that's going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. Being that you're a Scorpio rising, and if you're having an eclipse that's taking place in your 7th, it's going to be a make or break situation when it comes to your relationships. You can kind of decide that you want to shut that door and move on, or be open to something new. But yeah, if you're a Scorpio sun and a Scorpio rising with the squares to Leo, it's more or less kind of suggesting that like you're not waiting around to see if people are going to move forward in regards to relationships with you, especially because of that square that's happening to your moon. Aquarius and Eros North Node in your 3rd house. So it's about communication. Realize that there is still a bit of like a back and forth with communication, especially into the new year, and how you're communicating and expressing your emotions to partners, and whether or not you're dealing with people who are like ready to move on to like the next chapter of life, or if they've dealt with the past, or if they're emotionally available. But yeah, but still, just being a Scorpio rising, if you have an eclipse that's coming in Taurus, like it's definitely going to affect you because it's going to be in your 7th house. So it's going to take on more like a physical change and transformation. So I would say like the Page of Pentacles can be saying right now he's like literally stunted. Like he's not really able to show up the way that you want him to show up. Unless there's some kind of physical movement, there really shouldn't be any action on your behalf. You want to wait and see what he does. And realize that this can be something where it's the beginning phase of him kind of learning through his interaction with you. You're not going to get much out of me unless you're putting in more involvement, unless you're kind of putting in work, you're calling me, you're trying to. I think this would be about kind of taking a step back and like allowing him to kind of really grow into something. Also, like you're telling me he's a Libra, not that Libras aren't busy with work right now, but you know, kind of looking at this, it's like, I feel if he's really stressed out about finances, money, consistency, stability, and like that's such a focus, like his mind may not be in a state of like being really open to a committed partnership right now. Or there may be something going on where he's so fixated on finding the security that's like all he can think about. He's trying to get his money, he's trying to get his coin, he's focusing on himself, which is also showing you as a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising, if you're dealing with somebody who can't cut through some of the life stuff and be upfront with you and kind of say, hey, I'm busy, I'm going through a lot of stuff professionally, but I still want to make time to see you. Like that would make a huge shift, right? This can also be about whether or not he offers something. I'm willing to, you know, come over and hang out with you and have dinner. I don't have a lot of time, but I'm making that time for you. I'm making that effort. Or maybe you don't see him for a week or so and he decides to show up at your house and he brings you flowers. This can also be talking about like gifts and his ability to show up very physically. Not that this is a relationship that's based off of like material stuff, but I would look for those little signals from him that he's actually making an effort. And if you're not getting the impression, especially by the time, let's say, Mars is coming out of a opposition with Uranus, that's going to be, give me just a second. I think that can be that moment where you're like, I don't know about this. November 13th through the 19th is going to be really telling, because Mercury and Mars will oppose Uranus, and that's when you're like really starting to see like how partners are going to be, you know, showing up and coming forth, and if they're really ready for what you're ready for. You may find that there's this push where you're like, I want to talk to him, I need to have some kind of clarity, where are things going? And then, you know, how he does or does not show up is going to show you. Honor whatever is going on around that full moon, because an eclipse happening in your 7th house axis is definitely like closing one door but possibly opening another. And just my 2 cents, this can also be talking about that there's new seeds that are being planted, and putting time and energy also to other people if he's not ready. So I think about Jupiter going into Pisces. It's going to go into your 5th house as a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising. It's all about true love and relationships. You know, that seems to really kind of shift gears in a big way, February maybe through May, June of 2022. So give it a shot, but if you're not feeling like you're getting what you're putting into it, then definitely take a step back. Hopefully that's helpful. Just waiting to make sure that there's none of my regular people waiting. If you guys happen to pop in, please let me know. I've got Kurt here. How you doing? Nice to see you back. Just had to have emergency eye surgery. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Wanting to know how my recovery is going to go. Don't worry, I know this is a tarot reading. I'm not taking it too seriously, just curious. Kobe, speaking truth. Hi, Anjali. I'll get to you in just a second. Thanks, Kurt. Aries rising, Libra moon, Aqua sun, emergency eye surgery. Thank you, Anjali. No worries. All right, so let's see what Kurt needs to know. I mean, thankfully, you know, a lot of planets are now direct, so that makes me feel good. We don't have any crazy Mars aspects. That makes me feel good. Perhaps the Mercury square Pluto will manifest as how you're healing, especially if there was anything pertaining to nerves. Like, was there anything like that pertaining to nerves? Because I see, like, you know, nerves, it could be Venus, but it could be Mercury as well, like vision. And the square to Pluto being surgery. So let's see how his recovery is going to go. And how does that impede on your ability to work with a square in your 10th house? Are you having to work and having to see things and working with screens? Is that affecting you? I'm interested, what is your natal Venus placement, if you don't mind me asking? Because that's going to have a lot to do with your health. Mercury rules your 6th if you're an Aries rising. Okay, interesting and a very telling card. 9 of Swords coming up, upright, a guy covering his eyes, right? So it may be actually insinuating that there's some light sensitivity or some adjustment or some vision adjustment or some haziness or blurriness or something that you just may be more sensitive. Equally, I don't know if you have to cover your eyes, if one of them is covered, if it's going to have to be covered for a period of time. If there's something going on revolving around keeping it covered so it doesn't get infected, keeping it covered when you go to sleep. Is there anything like this that you have to do? Venus and Sagittarius in the 8th. So yeah, we do have some movement going through that part of the chart. You know, we have an eclipse coming in Sag pretty soon, so that can be part of it. Equally, we also have Venus that's in Sag, the South Node, which is still in Sag. So this is kind of where you're at right now. Maybe even anxiety revolving around whether or not it's going to remedy a situation or if it's really going to fix it. But there's something along these lines of like saying like, you know, there's anxiety about this. 3 of Coins is positive because like, I don't see it affecting you being able to work. You may feel that it takes about 3 weeks or 3 months total time before things get better. There's something going on here that is revolving around getting ahead of the problem and, you know, being able to handle something and like working with it and fixing it before a situation gets worse. I'm wondering, was there some sense of like going in and doing this surgical procedure because it was relieving pressure? If you don't mind me asking, like the reason behind this. The reason why I ask is I kind of get the impression that it could have been a blood pressure thing, it could have been a tension thing, it could have been like some pressure in the eye that was building, something that needed to be taken care of, because down the road you could have had a bigger problem with it, right? So it's not often that you hear emergency eye surgery, so I'm wondering like why that happened. But 3 of Coins says everything should be fully functional. Give it 3 weeks, 3 months, you'll be fine, you'll be working. I don't see any issues. I also feel like there's a lot of support around you. So the 3 of Coins can be like people who are like, hey, let me help you out. Do you need anything? Doctors or nurses who are calling in, checking in on you, people who want to make sure that you're taken care of, you have support, and just helping you. Like, I know you're capable. You're capable in a sense of all of your limbs and everything. But when you take away your sight, obviously, like, it can make you more anxious. It can kind of create issues revolving around whether or not you can do things to full capability. It's like when we start to kind of lose a sense, or we have an issue with one of these things, then we really realize how much we really need it, right? And then the final card that we have is the 9 of Cups. It's reversed, right? So it's essentially everything kind of coming out better, like it's going to play out better. And I do see it kind of clearing things out. I do feel like for you, the 9 of Cups is like reversed. It's not the best timing. Obviously, I didn't want to do the surgery. However, things turned out as best as they could, all things considered. It may also be talking about that there may be some need to be careful about interaction. So if there's a medication that you're taking, if there is something that you need to be putting on your eyes or around the area, or things that you're dropping into your eyes or things like that, make sure you're staying on top of that. Don't overdo it. Don't watch for overindulgences. I work with at-risk youth. I got hit by a kid at work. It was an accident, but that's a whole another story. I'm finding a different job. I went to 2 eye doctors and they both told me it was fine. I eventually went to a specialist and they told me I needed immediate surgery that day. I think you did it in a very timely way. Like, I feel like had this waited, you probably would have had a problem. But certainly the care and the maintenance seems to be like the bigger thing. And if I remember correctly, don't you have some placements in the later degrees of Capricorn in your 10th house? I've looked at your chart before. I believe you do. So this may be as a result of maybe the Mars in Libra square Pluto, or Mercury in Libra square Pluto, literally about your interactions with other people and how that is affecting where you're going with your career. Similar chart, totally different situation, but like if you guys heard about what happened with Alec Baldwin when the gun went off and unfortunately somebody got shot and somebody else ended up dying on set, I immediately, when I heard about that, I went to go look at his chart. And what I saw is that he had transits in Libra in his 7th house, where like Mars and Mercury were coming over his Jupiter, and it was squaring Pluto in his 10th house, and it literally manifested as what may be, I think, some kind of definitive ending for his acting career, honestly, because of the square to Pluto. That may play out into the new year, but the planet's in the 7th with how he relates to other people, and it just shot into the square with his 10th house. It was like literal. It was overdoing it, and Mars could have been that fire, that trigger that squared Pluto. Anyway, learning lessons. Was he being used cosmically as some lesson pertaining to like what was going on with the unions and whether or not they were bringing in people, if they had the right people, if he should still be in that job? I don't know. But when I think of your chart and what I remember of it, it's kind of reminiscent to that. So maybe it's like this situation that happened that opened your eyes and made you realize, like, these are some combative kids. I want to be able to help people. I can't do it in this way. I'm not enjoying the one-on-one interactions. I don't feel like I'm getting the support that I need from my bosses as a result of this. And you know what? Okay, universe, I learned my lesson. I'm going the other way. I'm not really of the kind of belief system that, like, if something bad or negative happens to somebody, that it's karmic and they had it coming. Like, I don't think people, I don't think that's the way that the laws of the universe works. I see it more as sometimes the universe gets our attention when we have been resisting change through a health ailment, through an accident, through a breakdown. So we kind of heed the lessons, especially in this last month with the planets in Libra. squaring off with Pluto. It's like it's trying to create a problem that we can solve because of the aspects to Jupiter and Saturn now. And we're like, okay, we're done here. We're going in that direction. So we're building a stronger future for ourselves. So actually, when I look at the progression of this, of everything kind of, moving from the 9th house of anxiety and everything that's gone on, it's really making you super acutely aware of what the dynamic was at work and that it's not working and that you're moving into a situation where now you have clarity. So 9 of Cups reverse is just, don't overdo it. You may be really emotional. There can be a sense of like, especially I think of the 9 of Cups reverse is like, as you go through some emotional stuff over the next couple of weeks, actually it can be painful for you to cry. So I don't know if you're noticing that your eyes are drier or just that there's like excess moisture or other things coming from your eye as it's healing, or, you can just really be in your feelings as a result of some of these cards that are coming up. I don't see any health ailments. I see things getting better. I don't think it's going to interfere with your work. I hope that you got the lesson, because it seems like it's more about focusing on going to greener pastures when it comes to your work, and this was your way out. Hopefully you heal quickly. I stand behind Alec Baldwin. I'm sure not standing in front of him. Kobe, I appreciate it. Feel better, Kurt. Hopefully you feel better. Be on top of everything revolving around keeping that covered, keeping it clean, making sure you're not scratching yourself in your sleep and that you're not getting anything infected. That seems to be very important. I'm not a doctor, disclaimer, but obviously I can see some stuff in the cards. All right, so let's go ahead and get into who else there is. I know Anjali popped in. All right, Anjali. Anjali asked, hi, love. Can you tell me if my crush has any baggage and what they are and if I'm going to pass my next exam? Sure. I'm going to do 2 cards for crush and then exam, because that's a little bit easier to answer. All right, so let's see what's going on with Anjali's crush. Do they have any baggage? What's going on there? King of Pentacles, solid dude. Seems like he has his act together. I was trying to... This just popped out, so I'm just going to put this here. Has his act together, has definitely been in the process of going through some endings, some clearing out. King of Pentacles, what sign is he? Even if he's not an earth sign, this can represent somebody who's mature, got his act together. Financially, he's good. He's thinking about long-term planning. He's grounded. He's mature. He's a boss. Definitely a king that I like to have. But as I was shuffling, like I said, that death card just like started to leap out of the deck. So it is saying that he is going through a rebirth period. There is a process of him clearing out with the old and trying to bring in new life, especially because he's really focused on physical changes. Thank you, Rosie. And it can be about him kind of just wanting to be more grounded and kind of thinking more about, okay, where's my life going? Where's my money going? How am I creating more? How am I creating change? He can be going through some physical changes as well. Oh, he's a Taurus. Cool. And it can also be talking about him changing what he values, changing how he approaches things, changing his preferences, changes how he eats, changes how he makes money, changes how he dresses, how he looks. Everything's in flux for him. It's an interesting month for Tauruses because they have an eclipse in their sign. There's a new moon in their 7th house. It's like they're changing and they're ready for new relationship stuff. Scorpio, right? It's a rebirth. However, this man comes with a past. So it is kind of insinuating that it took a lot of work to get him to where he is now. So he's definitely not who he used to be. He doesn't really identify even with the person that he was a year ago. There has been a whole rebirth period. So I wonder if he went through a transformation and like now it's like really starting to show in physical ways. So it's possible that, he went through a lot of like trauma and like endings and like stuff like the last year or two that really kind of set him up to go, I need to change everything across the board. So when you look at him and you see him as like this successful, super grounded dude, what you're going to realize is that all of that came with like a lot of having to excavate and like digging out all the rot and really kind of getting real with himself and focusing on what's best for him, what's healthiest for him. Honestly, I don't see this as trauma. I see this as a guy, or baggage. I see this as a guy who has been cleaning out all the trash in his life. And so for him to be able to get where he is now, he had to create change. He's still in flux. This is a card that talks about merging. So it's like about wanting to go deeper with partners, sexually, with finances, with security. There can be a sense of him really opening up and being more vulnerable. Like, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. So no, I don't see issues. I see this as being definitely a man who is the 2.0 version of himself. I would say, you know, compliment him, and even if you don't know like where he's coming from or his background, like really build up his self-esteem and like remind him that, you know, you find him attractive, or remind him that you think he's successful, or that you really value his opinion. Like, he'll really like it when you ask him questions about money or preferences or investments, because it's going to make him feel good. And he's going to talk to you about how he learned some of the things that he learned. Okay, so let's look at this crush. Not this crush. Let's look at this exam. So are you going to pass your next exam? Knight of Wands. That's a positive card. This is a card that talks about conquering, not being afraid of not passing it, going into it being super optimistic. Don't rush through it. This can also kind of indicate that when it comes time to take the exam, take your time. There's no need to like freak out and like, you know, study last minute. Definitely not something that you want to do. Sometimes when I see this Knight of Wands come in, it's like it benefits you to hype yourself up. It's funny, like I read, it was some months ago, I read something about an article about people who gamble professionally, and they did a study on people who would just gamble, and then people who, before they would pull the slot machine or before they would go and play poker, they would celebrate their win, right? They'd jump up and down, they'd get into the state of like being a winner. That's how I want you to approach this. When you're going into this, it's like you want to hype yourself up and be like, I'm going to pass it. Everything's going to be fine. I know it. I'm good. And there needs to be a sense of like you really being your own hype man before you go into this, and reminding yourself that you know all of the answers. You're familiar with the material. There's just a need for you to really get super focused and grounded and just take your time so you're not blowing through it. Okay? Yeah, it's going to be totally fine. You'll be fine. Yeah. It can also be positive for you to like light a candle or like do something to kind of get yourself hyped up before you go and take it. But exam looks good. Looks like you're going to nail it. And this guy looks like he is a diamond in the rough. So you'll have to let me know how it goes with that Taurus. King of Pentacles, super hot. Definitely one of my favorite cards for pulling about men. That is for sure. Let me know how it goes. What is your test on? Hey, Victoria. Nice to see you. I appreciate it. Somebody said it's dark goddess mode. I was blonde for so long. I was blonde for 3 or 4 years. So it was time to go back to dark goddess mode. I appreciate the congratulations. Thank you. All right. So we got Elizabeth Martinez. Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, Candace. I'd like a general reading for November. Thank you. CPA, there's 4 total. Nice. Yeah, this one's going to go fast. You will blow right through that. All right, so for my dear Elizabeth, your general reading for the month of November. Ooh, well, that seems important. I don't know why, but those jumped up. 8 of Wands, King of Swords. Be mindful that contracts, communications, negotiations, you having to be very decisive, making up your mind very quickly. That's going to be a theme this month. You may feel like you need to give somebody a green or a red light on a situation, especially if they're an air sign, so be mindful. I don't know if you're an air sign or what sign you are, but King of Swords and the Eight of Wands is like things can be progressing very quickly with a man and you're talking to him a lot, or he's giving you insight, or there's more of a sense of you being really direct with your energy and what your intentions are and telling people what you're going to do, and not just saying, you know, you're going to do it. It's actually being about it. Okay. So your 3 cards are the Emperor reversed, the 10 of coins, the 4 of coins reversed. Heads up, there can be some stuff going on with a male family member. Okay, you're a Scorpio. So Emperor reversed can be like husband, brother, father, boss, any like dominant kind of male or authority figure in your life. This really does seem to be about family, and you either thinking more about long-term goals with family or how you're just navigating a difficult situation with the family. 10 of coins can be talking about long-term family planning, wealth, abundance, money. There can be conversations that you're having about the future of where you want to see your career going, and you can be talking to family about that. Or on the flip side, it can be family business stuff. Sometimes with cards like this, like dads get anxious because they're retiring, or a family member gets laid off, or there's some kind of family crunch that happens economically. 10 of coins is a card of wealth and abundance though, so I kind of see this as if it's you in a situation where you're having issues with your family and you're kind of talking to them about, you know, long-term stuff and how you guys can like handle issues that will come up. It can also be you making big decisions about the future of where your career is going and starting to think about, okay, I can keep doing something for you know, forever that doesn't necessarily feel so financially fulfilling or emotionally fulfilling, or I can start to kind of reevaluate my financial situation and kind of move things around a little bit. And if that means cutting some expenses, saving some money, taking a step back and like not spending as much, or trying to kind of like pay down debt. So that way you have more space and time and energy to start focusing on your long-term financial goals or the kind of work that you do want to do. So any which way we cut it, there's long-term planning. I just don't know if this is going to be more so about you talking to your family about it and helping your family with the situation, or this is about you really taking a good hard look at what your long-term goals are in terms of your career. Perhaps maybe talking to a relative about it. But the 4 of coins reversed is saying there's a need to let go. Like in the end, financially, you have a lot of support, health, abundance, wealth, security, job security, and there's good things that are coming for you. But the things that are coming for you are going to be as a result of whatever you're planning now. The Emperor reverse can be like an agitated boss. It can be like a grumpy parent. It can be like a partner who's, you know, stressed out because they want to quit their job. So any one of these situations can apply. Do pay special attention also if there's an Aries that comes into your life, or somehow Aries is one of the family members or somebody that you're working with, because the Emperor can be a card for that. It also talks about Mars. So I know that, you know, Mars is coming. Mars is now in Scorpio. If you're Scorpio, you feel it. But now that Mars is catching up and it's going to start getting closer to Mercury and the Sun, many Scorpios are going to start talking about money, resources, you know, money they need to bring in, what they need to pay off, what they owe, what they want to make more of. And that's going to get more and more and more intense, especially over the first week of November. So realize that there do need to be some decisions made about long-term spending, saving, things like that, so you can kind of reach your long-term goals. Me and my brother are going to a business event next week and thinking about going in that direction. Okay, so here's what I would tell you. If this is the man that's coming up in the spread, then what you need to be aware of is that you guys have two different directions that you're going to come at this from. This can also be about you questioning whether or not you think it's a good investment, about investing into the business, or about buying into a franchise, or about taking a loan, things like that. Hopefully you can hear me, because it's cool for me. So if you come back and I'm live, once this is over, you can go back and you can listen to it. But yeah, basically like really feel it out. It might take about 4 weeks, maybe 4 months total, before you decide to like really invest into something. Equally, it can mean that you guys start talking about this at the end of the year and it's really starting to pick up momentum in the spring. I would just say you guys have two different very personalities, and this makes me feel like you can be a little hesitant or a little more cautious when it comes to investing and actually starting the business with family. And then, you know, your brother can kind of be a little impatient, or he can want to kind of run the show, or he might want to be the boss, and that might rub you the wrong way. So really think it through. Make sure it's a good match. Make sure that financially it's a good match as well. Hopefully that is helpful. Just a word to the wise. We do have Venus going into Capricorn pretty soon. And right around early November, it will go into the shadow period. So there's nothing wrong with starting businesses in the shadow period per se, but it is a little bit more challenging to launch businesses, I would say mid-December through really the beginning of February, while Venus is retrograde in Capricorn, the sign that deals specifically with business, and Venus deals with resources. Oh, he's a Leo. He's a little feisty, that one. Just keep in mind, because you're a Scorpio and he's a Leo, Uranus is really doing a number on him in his 4th house of family. It creates lots of tension between him and family. And for a Scorpio, Saturn is in your 4th, which is also creating tension between you and family. Feel it out first. I would say, you know, make sure it's worth the investment and that you're going to get the return you're looking for, and really think it through until the new year. Hopefully that's helpful. Let's see, who else do we have? Okay, now we can kind of play catch up. Thank you for being patient, Rosa. Appreciate it. Hopefully you're still here. Those of you guys who are just tuning in, we're doing live readings. 1 card for $20, 3 for $40. Check out the QR code. Check out also the link. You can send a PayPal or a super chat to reserve your reading. We'll be on here probably for another 15 minutes or so. So if you guys want to get those readings in, please do. Equally, don't forget to make sure that you hit the subscribe and the bell button so you can get alerts for my videos. I just got done filming the video for November. It's going to come out tomorrow. I've been putting them out on Sundays. Okay, so let's see Miss Rosa's question. 1 card reading for my twin flame. We went into separation almost 3 months ago. Does it look like he'll be coming back into union soon? I'm a Taurus sun and ascendant with a Pisces moon. He's a Virgo moon and was told by K Moon to use 6 a.m. for the birth time since he doesn't know his time of birth. It makes him a Leo ascendant with a Pisces moon. Leo ascendant, Pisces moon. Sun in the 2nd house. And you're a Taurus sun and Taurus ascendant. Let's take a look. Together you make a full moon. If you have a Pisces moon and he's a Virgo. That's an interesting dynamic. So let's pull a card and see if Rosa is going to reunite with this partner. Went into separation 3 months ago. Taurus suns, there's an eclipse coming, which is in your 1st house, so it's more about you, less about them. A lot of Virgos are going to have lots of changes going on with their love life, especially December, January, February. Just a heads up, because even if he is that rising sign, it's the Venus retrograde will be 5 signs away. So is there a reunion? 2 of coins. So it's weighing the options, right? I'll give you another card. It's weighing the options, and it's saying, well, it could be this or it could be that. But it's also saying that there is a sense of overwhelm, of juggling. So part of me wonders, is this a person who's already currently in a relationship? You know, does he feel like he was being pressured to make a choice? Was there conversations that you had that was like, listen, either we do this or not? You know, you show up or not. 2 of coins, any 2 makes me wonder, is there another person involved? Do you know of him being in a relationship and he's getting overwhelmed with trying to pick one or the other? Equally, it can be talking about him feeling like he can't balance everything on his plate right now, that him having to show up for a relationship on top of like trying to kind of get other things in his life in order, especially financially or health-wise, or just better, a better sense of values. Like, to me, it seems like it's about values and whether or not he's really valuing the connection, if he can really show up the way that you need him to show up. The Star card seems to insinuate that there can be a connection, but I really get the impression that that's probably something that's going to be happening closer to Aquarius season, think about if he's a Leo rising, right? That there's a very good likelihood that as a result of Jupiter changing signs and a Mercury retrograde that's going to happen in January, look for that to be a time, January going into February, as a possible reunion. It's healing though. It's saying like you guys need healing. Like the time that you guys took apart, it was to be able to help both parties heal, balance things out, really kind of realize that there is a solid connection there. You guys are still very cosmically connected, but sometimes it's just a matter of timing. So to me, it seems to be like a timing issue, and that there is a need for both parties to be working on their stuff separately before you guys are able to come together in stronger union. That new moon that's coming in opposition to Uranus at the beginning of November is not anything to mess with. It can really set you off, and you may find that, people in your circle, romantically, can be very intense. So we don't want to be pushing anything in terms of this connection, especially like, the 4th, maybe through like the 19th or the 20th. It's a very intense time for a Taurus, lots of changes in relationships. But the focus, because the eclipse is coming, is actually on you. It's not on them, which is interesting that the card said, are you juggling things? Is there somebody involved in the situation who has another person, whether that's you or that's him? That needs to be sorted out, because it's really evident, like, even if there is a friendship here, y'all can't be friends. Like, you guys aren't necessarily friends, because trying to go, okay, well, I can't do the relationship thing, but let's do the friendship thing. To me, it doesn't really seem like that's going to work. It's like a very black and white situation, and you're either in or you're out. And if there are other people, they can be creating some kind of conflict or some kind of interference. So hopefully that is helpful. Look for a connection when planets start moving more so into the sign of Aquarius. Let's see if we got anybody else in here. Here we go. Heart of Justice. Is that who I think it is? Miss Victoria. Hello, hello. Let me know. She says she's going to send it in the live chat. I imagine your life is getting pretty colorful. I can't wait to hear what happens as a result of that next eclipse. Rosie, if that's the case, I mean, I didn't see a woman coming up, but I will tell you that the 2 of Coins makes me feel like he's weighing his options. And if he comes back and goes, I think we're better off as friends, because I can tell based off of just the angles that you guys have and the cards that were coming up, it's going to be harder for you to be like, oh yeah, sure, friendship is fine, right? Like, if this were me, I would really, really recommend weighing that out and giving your guys the time to be able to heal in between, because if he's a Leo rising and he's got Virgo in his chart, that tells me that he doesn't really start figuring out where he's going in partnership and union really until next spring. Hello, Victoria. Thank you for your payment. Oh, I love these comments. For one card, I have 2 boyfriends. Both are Aquarius, my natal 6th house. So they both make me want to exercise and eat well. One man has 3 planets in my 6th, and the only one has 1 planet. Hunter or Jeff? Here's the question. If they have planets in your 6th house, do you mind telling me which planets they are? I would be really interested to know. So let me know who is who. So how many planets does each one have in your 6th house, and what are the planets? That would be very helpful. Both make me want to exercise and eat well. That's also your Jupiter stuff. One man has 3 planets in my 6th. Realize that the 6th is also going to talk a lot about organization, scheduling, diet, health, all of that stuff too. Both of them. Jeff has his sun in your 6th. Okay. So then the other person's got to have 3 somewhere. Hunter, Mars, Sun, and Mercury. Okay, so you also want to look at the Venus-Mars aspect, but Mars, Sun, and Mercury is going to be more so the person who's regularly going to be talking to you, including you in their schedule, making time for you, wanting to go work out with you, wanting to talk to you about business, right? Because it's infusing Mars and Mercury, which Jeff does not have. So that's automatically going to be more active, right? Well, they're both a good choice. The vibe that I'm getting, just to be honest with you, is that you're going to have to go based off of what some of the transits start manifesting for you closer to your Jupiter stuff that's happening in the new year, right? I think we spoke a little bit about what's been going on with the Capricorn transits through your 5th. And if I remember correctly, don't you have your moon there? I think. But nevertheless, like, you know, certainly like Venus, when she's going back and forth through Capricorn, can help you kind of choose the person who's going to be most reliable, or the person who's going to stick the most. There's nothing bad here. I would say, though, that one is going to be a little bit more all over your ass about what you're eating, what you're drinking. If you're overly indulging, watch that there may be somebody who either gets on your case about, you know, smoking or drinking, or gets on your case about what you're eating, and one who may not as much. But the Nine of Cups still is like that's a positive card. It can be really enjoying your time together, but it can be too much of a good thing. So there can be a sense of somebody trying to monopolize too much of your time, which I have a feeling is most likely to be Hunter. And then the World card is coming up, which is cool because it also kind of talks about, like, you know, being in a situation where who you're going to choose is the person who may not be exactly like you, but the person who helps kind of round your life out and complete you, or somebody who is really interested in the idea of traveling or going places with you or talking to you about the bigger picture. These are two of the best cards in the entire deck. So for these two cards to be coming up, it's kind of insinuating that you're going to get what you want. It's going to go off well. I would just think that there's a difference between quality and quantity, and you may have a situation where somebody wants to spend a lot of time with you, but they may not seem as fulfilling or as quality as the guy who may not always be available. So just because somebody keeps showing up doesn't necessarily mean they're a good match. It could be that you just have somebody who has a lot of like time on their hands, but the other person really kind of may seem as if a little bit more of a better match. I'm really excited to see that Venus retrograde, you know, through your moon, and Pluto hit your moon, because it's in a very big way. It's going to open you up more so to love. And interesting, Jeff has kids. And whether or not you can be in a situation where your heart is really fully open and you have something to give. Especially when Venus is going to sextile all the planets that you have in your 7th. So you may find that one of them is a little bit more willing to talk to you about commitment, marriage, long-term planning, kids. Listen for these conversations. I really kind of feel like both of them are really great, but like I said, quality over quantity. You're going to have somebody who's a little bit more quality and has a little bit more to offer you versus the other person who might be a little bit more available, but they're both positive. So if this were me personally, and it's because I have a lot of planets in Capricorn, I would prefer the Mercury aspects, the Sun, Mercury, Mars aspects, because they're going to understand that you're busy. They're going to understand that you have health goals. They're going to understand that you have a schedule. They're just going to get it. That's just me personally. Let me know, see what happens. One of those is going to be standing in February, that's for sure. And that's when we know that your love life stuff really starts to take off. But don't be surprised if they start telling you very quickly that they have really serious future plans. No, it's not a terrible, no, it's not, no. You're going to have the choice. The World card and the Nine of Cups says you're going to have the choice. But I would just say to you that, you know, the World card is more about having the freedom to do anything and everything that you want, having the freedom to go places, expanding in your business. I'm not saying you couldn't do that with a person who has kids, but the Nine of Cups is like somebody who emotionally feels really good and there's a nice rapport. But the other card seems to suggest somebody who's like, I don't have anything tying me down. Like, you know, the world's our oyster. What do you want to do? Let's go. Let's travel. Let's experience things. So there can be this kind of conflict between being like, well, one person just feels really comfortable, but we aren't really in the same kind of playing field when it comes to our life goals. And then the other person, he's definitely successful, he's got goals, he pushes, but is the emotional connection there, right? The truth is that that's where you got to look at their Venuses and their Mars aspects, and you want to make sure that it's somebody who's got some positive aspects between Venus and Mars, or maybe even your moon, right? Ladies' choice, ladies' choice. We're going to call last call pretty soon. So if you guys haven't already gotten a reading and you want to get a reading, check out the QR code. Look at how fancy that is. Isn't it so cute? I haven't seen anybody else who has that. But you can scan that. You can get a reading now. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait until next Friday, and it will be Friday, and it'll be astrology. And also, I talk about this in my video, but usually I'm here every Friday, okay? I will be here next Friday, but there's probably going to be at least maybe 2 weeks in between, so I probably won't come back until the week of the 26th, because I'm out of the office for 2 weeks because I'm going on a trip and I'm getting married and I am going to be off the grid. So those of you guys who are subscribers and you want to be able to get your reading, check in next week. Otherwise, you will see me at the end of November. I will be here, don't worry. You'll still get all your videos. Thank you, Speedy. Let's take a look here. 3-card pull for Sandra. Is that you? What is your question, Sandra? Let me know. Thanks, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. Funny story. So a bunch of people were asking me. They were like, oh, did you pick the perfect election date? Y'all, you guys know how like precise and like OCD I am about stuff. I did not. Now I know the chart, so I went and I looked at it, but it's going to be the day that Mercury opposes Uranus. And then the sun's going to square Jupiter, so it's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a party. Thank you. What's your question, Sandra? Let me know. I'll pull your cards. But yeah, like the wedding is smack dab in between all the Jupiter-Uranus stuff, and it's like a couple days before the eclipse. So we'll see. Whoop. Cards are jumping out. Indecisiveness. 2 of Swords, making a decision. Do you have 2 questions or 1? Okay, Sandra, I've been planning, hoping to rent out my home to a friend, Jose. Both of us are Capricorns. I know he will take care and be responsible with it. Okay, so let's take a look. Being that you're a Capricorn and you got a lot of planets moving into Scorpio, sextiling your sign is really good for like deals with friends and stuff regarding finances and some kind of negotiation or a deal. So in that sense, that's positive. Wedding concept coming soon. You guys will see it, I'm sure. You'll see photos at some point. So let's take a look at what it looks like you renting this place, hoping to rent out your home to your friend Jose. Queen of Pentacles reversed, 5 of Coins, 6 of Cups. Okay, here's the thing that I will tell you. Queen of Pentacles reversed seems to kind of suggest that you are more or less, you know, possibly expecting too much or asking too much. So be very clear about what it is that you're going to charge him. Be very clear about what the expenses would be, not just like, okay, I'm going to rent you the place, but you know, here's what it's going to cost for the utilities. Here's what it's going to cost for the cable. Here's what it's going to cost for whatever. Factor all that in, get all that communication out. Are you in a situation where you're also doing it because it benefits you and or because, you know, money's a little tight? I'm wondering. 5 of Coins coming up with the Queen of Coins reversed is like kind of being in a situation where it benefits both parties. You're able to rent something and you're able to pay your bills. He's able to get into a place and do it affordably. Don't go overboard and above and beyond feeling like you need to like hook him up with a deal, because you could end up kind of taking it in the shorts. So if you're like in a situation where he comes back and goes, hey, you know what, actually it's over my budget, and you go, oh, okay, I'll drop it, you know, $100. Will you take it? you're selling yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. Be very open and honest about what the expenses are, what it's going to cost for you to be able to rent this out to him. Really make sure that also he understands that everything needs to be maintained. I'm not worrying about it. I just feel like there's going to be a bit of a back and forth either with what his budget is, and then he'll come back to you and eventually say, yeah, I can swing it. But he can leave you high and dry, right? So there can be a sense where if he takes too long to get back to you about renting this place and finally says at the last minute, actually, I can't swing it, it's too much, or I found a place that's cheaper, then you are in a pickle. Then you are in a situation where if you could have rented it to somebody else, but you held out for him, you end up taking a loss, and then you're having to figure out how to pay the bills. It can be a situation also where if you do end up kind of saying, okay, whatever it takes, just get in here, help me, help you, you're doing it at a lower rate, right? I would move into another home that's already paid off. Yeah, it's just financially, this seems a little tricky. So I wouldn't wait too long. I'm not telling you to badger him, but don't wait too long. Like there's a need for you to kind of be upfront and be like, I need to know if you're going to take this or not, because I don't want to potentially cut myself off from any other opportunities of being able to get this place rented. And I would also say something about the 5 of coins and the queen reversed. Are you looking to have him rent this for like an extended period of time and signing a lease? Because if you are, you really want to make sure that even though you guys are friends, there needs to be a deposit, because this can be talking about you being left high and dry in the end, having to paint things, having to fix things, having to be in a situation. The house isn't going to get, affected like in a negative way, but just normal wear and tear. So if this is somebody who's going to be there for a year, it may be smart to probably take like a $500 deposit. So that way when he leaves, things can be cleaned. You can bring somebody in to do touch-up, paints and everything, and you're good to go. And you're not the one who's going to be financially responsible. Cover your bottom line, get back with him, have a conversation with him about this so you ensure that you're not delaying this for him only to find out that he found something cheaper. I don't like saying that, but I'd rather tell you. I do see this being able to work as long as you guys can get on the same page though. So I'm not feeling like there's going to be an issue with being able to get that sorted out. And the interesting thing is that if you have been going back and forth with another person, if there's another person you've been talking to about the possibility of renting this place or having it available, but you've put them on back burner, or you've said, actually, I have somebody who's going to take this, let me get back to you. That person may still be interested. That person may still come back around to you and tell you that, you know what, they're still interested if you're willing to rent it to them. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Thanks, Kobe. I tried to send $20 and PayPal's pretending to be reviewed. I can see it. I just looked at it. Thank you very much. Let's look at your question, Kobe. Progress moon going into Cap in 2 days. I'm already booked out for 2 months. Meanwhile, trying to balance a new relationship. Just pull a card to see what kind of advice you feel about navigating it. I'm kind of overwhelmed. So, moon in Sag is lots of freedom, independence, expansion, optimism. You don't need me to tell you that. But when your progressed moon is in the late degrees of something, there is this tension. It can almost feel like panic, right? And so for me, like I just had my progressed moon. It's been in Gemini for like obviously the last 2 years, but it's been in the late degrees for the last 2 months, and it's made me super anxious. The reason being is when it's in a mutable sign, especially Gemini, Sag, it's about you're feeling like, oh my God, change is coming. Like it's winding something down. So moon in Sag is winding down your own emotional beliefs, winding down this kind of wanderlust sense, winding down in a sense of wanting to be anywhere or everywhere in terms of where you're living or more adventurous, right? So there's something kind of brewing here for you that makes me feel like that anxiousness that's coming through is this realization that as soon as that moon gets into Cap, even though technically it's going to be more or less in its fall, there's much more of a serious kind of focused, grounded, kind of getting rooted energy, and you're like getting your wings clipped. That's why I think you're feeling the way that you're feeling. So let's see what the card was that jumped out for you. 7 of Swords. I see this as more not being entirely sure if you can trust yourself. Okay, thanks, Kelsey. I will make sure that I answer your question. Appreciate it. Thanks for your donation. But Seven of Swords is, are you trusting yourself? Are you afraid that you're going to get yourself in a situation where you were misled, or you didn't listen to your intuition, or I don't feel like this is the traditional Seven of Swords meaning in this situation. I feel like it's more trusting yourself and fear that if you're going a certain path, are you going to be abandoning or overlooking something, or if there's something like that that's gone on that has delayed you with from being on the path, right? Also, what works in your favor is that you do have a lot of Capricorn energy. So you really want to look at when your progressed moon is crossing your ascendant, as to when the emotions stabilize, things become a little bit more clear. If I remember correctly, don't you have a Cap rising, I think? Is that correct? Remind me. But Seven of Swords, I see this more as just you questioning whether or not, you're making the right choice, or if you're making the right decisions, and that you're going to be able to handle everything, and that certain things aren't going to get overlooked, or certain things aren't going to kind of pass you by. It's exactly what I'm dealing with because of my last serious relationship. Here's the deal, baby. If you are not willing to get your heart broken, you don't get to play the game. So really, it's like, okay, if you were in a situation where you got screwed over in the past, or if you were in a situation where somebody cheated on you, or they weren't faithful, or they weren't honest, or you were angry because you felt like you wasted a lot of time, these things will creep up on you, okay? Big time. And keep in mind that in your chart, from what I remember correctly, Venus is going to go retrograde in your first house, and you're also going to see that in your girlfriend's chart. I have a photogenic memory. Venus is going retrograde in her 12th over her Sun and her Neptune, which is what a man is withholding and not telling her, and he's all up in his head about in terms of his fears, and where he's isolating himself and not being clear with her. So you can go through the Venus retrograde going, I'm doing what's best for me. She can be going, what the hell's going on? Why is there distance? What's happening? And you may not be aware that the way that you're expressing yourself is kind of, putting up your walls and closing yourself off to her, and she's not going to understand what's going on. This is about trusting yourself. So part of this is, in trusting yourself, is learning to kind of separate what might be anxiety from fear, what is an intuition from you just kind of getting all up in your head. Don't be focusing on so much about who's going to screw you over, what's not going to work out. This may even be the fact that you have insight, you have knowledge into the future, right? Five of Swords, it's there's tough times coming, but tough times can make for better relationships. So that Two of Swords standing there is still saying that you have an option, you have a choice, you have a conscious choice to express and communicate what the fears are before all of the intensity starts hitting later in this year, when you might really freak out, shut down, and go, I don't trust myself, I don't trust this, I'm out, right? So rather than letting that astrology prevail, it's about getting ahead of it and learning how to trust yourself so you can communicate and let her know that you're kind of wigging out a little bit before you possibly kind of pull a self-preservation disappearing act in 7 weeks' time. It's sacred anxiety. That's part of the problem of knowing some of the transits and the things that are going on in the sky, is that some of these things are coming. But I have seen time and time again that Venus retrogrades can be a really wonderful time to do a lot of heart healing. We've been keeping everything open, communicating through all of our insecurities to this Mercury retrograde. Awesome. So when Venus conjuncts Pluto, there can be big love and realizations coming up. And it's also a time to really focus on love. And in her case, it'll be about a Capricorn learning how to be more aware of his anxieties, or Cap rising. And dealing with all of those insecurities, and also learning to kind of ground it out. Lots of goddess work and working with Venus can be really helpful. But, Venus retrograde in itself is symbolic of Persephone's trip into the underworld, right? Being taken by Hades. So when she conjuncts Pluto, it can almost feel like that we're being overtaken by this really intense love, and we're going to get swept away. And what do we do? If anybody's the one who's going to get hit the hardest of the two charts, it's going to be her, because all of those conjunctions are very personal on her Sun. Just a heads up. Hopefully that's helpful. You'll have to continue giving me the tea. I see a couple other people popped on here. Let's take a look. Matthew Powers, back for a second serving. Thanks. Miss Fogel, I'll get to you in just a second. Sorry for another question, super anxious. Am I going to go blind? I know that sounds super extreme. I just want to know and get it out there so I can calm down a little bit. I'm still going to follow the doctor's order exactly. I'm just freaking out a little bit right now. You said it'll be a good recovery. I just want to ask, do you have any placements in the first couple degrees of Gemini? And do you have any placements 18 to 20 degrees of Gemini? I believe the first couple degrees of Gemini deals with blindness, by the way. And it has to be in progression or in your natal placements. Hey, Jody. Let me know. I think I have your chart here. Let me look. Send me your birth info. I'll look at your chart because I don't want to make such a bold prediction just using tarot, but no, I don't see you having issues with blindness. I feel like if anything, the only thing that could have happened is that, did they talk to you about having some kind of nerve something? Was it having to do with like an optical nerve or something, like something nerve related? I don't see it being surface or like aesthetic. I see it more being about the nerve. Send me your info. I'll take a look at it. January 23rd, 1995. 10:30 a.m. or p.m.? How do you pronounce that? Is that Murfreesboro? Rutherford. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. I do my best. And I see that you popped in there too, so I will get your question too. Kurt, if I remember correctly, all that Capricorn's in the 10th house. So, let's see. AM. Okay. There we go. Vision, health, Mercury, Pluto, Venus. You have Venus square Saturn, but there's nothing here that really insinuates that there's going to be issues with blindness. I don't see that. I do not see that. I have to really reiterate that. Mercury rules your 6th house. Jupiter's conjunct your Mercury, and Saturn is going to conjunct it. It was literally trying to get you out of this job. I'm not even kidding you. By the way, right now, as we speak, you're in the midst of Pluto in Capricorn's in a square to your moon. I would just heavily advise you to look for a job that's going to help you better provide for housing. Okay, housing. Especially because Venus is going to go retrograde in the 10th. There's lots of changes going on with relationships and who you're working for. That's all going to set you up. By the time the Sun and Saturn come into conjunction with your Mercury in the new year, you're working for a new group or an organization. I assume, just looking at this, that health is going to get a little bit better. But you don't have any gnarly squares to your Mercury, so I do feel like you're going to be okay. That fixed star, which is associated with blindness, just by the way, is in opposition to your Pluto, but I feel like it was narrowly avoided because had you not gotten this surgery, just looking at your astrology, that eclipse that would have kicked in at the beginning of December would have either prevented a loss of vision or an infection, which, yeah, that could have severely affected your vision had you waited. So it's a good thing that you went and got a couple different people, opinions on the matter, you know? Surgery was very unavoidable with some of the transits that you're having. And one thing I would say is that stay on top of following up with the doctor. It's very important that you follow up. This comes up a lot the end of November through December. And when Mars comes into a conjunction with your Pluto and your Jupiter from December 13th through end of December is like when you really need to be making sure that you're responding well and rebounding well from the surgical procedure and that all is good. Hopefully that's helpful. But no, I don't think you're going to have any issues with your vision long term. I don't see you going blind. Usually that's something that I can see in a chart, and I do not see that for you. So be open to the new opportunities for work. Let's take a look. Okay, so we've got Miss Yusevi Thompson and Miss Fogel. So let's take a look at your question here. November general card. You're welcome. What is it that you're holding in that picture? Is it a guitar, Matt? Or I guess Kurt? Whichever one your alter ego is. All right, so a general overview for Miss Yusevi for the month of November. 5 of Swords reversed. Not a bad card. Moving away from situations that don't serve you, letting go of anxiety, not fighting with people, laying down your weapons, moving away from conflict, strife, focusing on peace, clarity, opting to not have intense exchanges. It can mean that talking to people is going to be better in email, written form, things like that, maybe even over the phone, so you're avoiding some kind of conflict. When the 5 of Swords comes up reversed, also, I can sometimes see that as a situation where you're like, I'm not going to continue beating my head against a wall. If somebody's not getting it, if somebody's not agreeing, if something's not working, I'm not going to keep pushing it. I'm going to try an alternative way. So I kind of get the impression with this that there's like a very kind of hands-off, like no nonsense about the next month where you're really avoiding conflict and you're opting to surround yourself with people who are not going to aid in anxiety or making you feel like you have to be reactionary. It's not a bad card. I would just say watch for people around you who you notice are triggering something, especially within your body, that's making you a little bit on edge. You're just going to be a little bit more protective of your energy. Hopefully that's helpful. And we have Miss Fogel. I saw she popped in there. Also, Yusevi, let me know if that pertains to any particular situation so I can expand on that for you. But it's really about laying your weapons down. If you feel like people are challenging you, it's not feeling like you have to give people an answer or that you have to show up and respond the way that they want you to respond. Does that make sense? Choosing not to give in to other people's intensity or crazy. Like other people are going to be trying to get a response from you. Miss Fogel, thank you for your donation. All right, let's see. Did you ask me a question here? No, but let's see. What did you ask me up here? Just wondering what the cards say for starting a business using my new used car. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear, Maria, that yeah, moving has really kind of helped you. Were you the one who had all the, was it the Virgo rising and all the Sag in the 4th? I'm super visual, so I remember charts. I not always names, but I would just say realize that there's still a little bit of emotional static that can happen there, but you'll move out of it. All right, so questions about starting a business with a used car. So let's take a look. So is it a smart move for her to take that car and start the business. 5 of Swords again. Okay, sorry, Miss Fogel. I have to obviously finish something for Maria. Maria, if that card came up again, that means that we need to pull you another card. So just put you on hold just for a second, and I'll answer the question about the car. That's funny. So the cards are saying there is still some dissatisfaction about communication. Okay, Maria, here we go. We're going to pick another card for you because it seems like you need more insight. 6 of Wands reversed. So it's basically saying that if you're in a situation where you're feeling like people aren't meeting you halfway, if people aren't coming and celebrating with you, if people aren't wanting to enrich your life, if you're feeling like you're not getting recognition, if you're feeling like you're not getting a pat on the back, things like that, don't sit in that. So it's encouraging you to focus on the positive, where you're going, not what has not worked, not what has not been well received. If the move and everything went well, that's great. Now it's really about kind of settling in and getting nested and getting comfortable. Equally, it can talk about celebrating small victories right now, and just that your energy is fluctuating and it's changing and it's kind of building in a positive momentum, so you can see other things kind of fall in suit, right? Okay, Ms. Fogel, so questions about your used car and whether or not you should use this for business. Let's take a look. King of Swords. It's not a bad move. It does seem like it's definitely something you can manage to some extent. It seems like you already either started the paperwork, started the idea, started the process of thinking about it, started talking about it, signed something. So this can be like, depending on what you're using it for, the business is going to require a lot of communication or a lot of back and forth or apps or updates. Phones, technology. So it's like, I wonder, are you going to use your phone to, or are you going to use your car to, deliver things, drive people places? Are you using it to be able to expedite something in regards to your business and make things happen faster, traveling to people? What kind of work are you going to be doing? Yeah, it's been on your mind, but it's also something that you already were like, I'm going to do it. Why wouldn't I do this? I have the car. It makes sense. I don't see any issues with the car. I see more of like the King of Swords of that coming up is like you going through the process of making it official. So like you being able to go, okay, I'm going to start the business. I'm going to name the business. I'm going to open the business account. I'm going to file. If you're going to go and work with Uber, I'm going to go and register. I'm going to get it inspected. If you're going to deliver food, then it's like going and getting signed up with an actual business and talking to somebody who can help you with the process. So there's something like that that's kind of going on here. But yeah, I say do it. I mean, and to me, it seems like there's going to be a demand. Oh, you're renting your car out. Cool. You may have somebody very quickly. King of Swords can be somebody who basically shows up and goes, yeah, sure, why not? I'll do it. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Can I borrow it now? So that's the other thing is like renting it out. You may actually rent it out more than you're anticipating. There may be people who want to take it and they want to take it for a period of time. The other feeling that I'm getting, and this was not the cards, this is just what I'm seeing. Like the car that you have now is fine. You can do that. But I see it as being a situation where I think you're going to do this because I saw another car coming in. I know that sounds crazy, but it's almost like you're going to do this to pay the car off or pay the car down. So then you can shift gears and then like literally at some point in the next year or so, be like, okay, great. Now I'm getting another car. And it's a means for being able to pay the car off. But I think you're going to have the car outside of your possession for quite a bit of time. So it's how you're also adapting and how you're getting around. And if you need to make updates in the car, have it possible so people can have like a little phone holder, or there's other like little things and gadgets that you can put into the car that makes it a little bit more comfortable and user friendly, even a GPS or something like that. Do that, get that car paid off, get a new car. I see that you're going to get a new car next year. Awesome. Looks great. Congrats. Definitely consider putting a little GPS or a Garmin or something in that car, or something that can hold somebody's phone, because you don't want somebody fucking texting and driving in your car. You know, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, just so that way that they're safe and they're covered, because you're probably gonna have a lot of people that are either in town on business for short periods of time, or they're renting until they buy something. So you're gonna have a lot of turnover with that car. Jalen, wow, last call, everybody's just like bam, bam. Okay, so this is the last one. We've got Jalen Donald. I must be psychic or something. Hey. Jody says, general guidance for the cards and any channeled messages, much appreciated. Thank you, Jody. Got you for 3 cards. You're welcome. Good luck on getting that card out. All right, so here's Jody's 3 cards. Hey, Kuma, if you want to get in there really quick, you can. It's just $20 for 1 card, $40 for 3. We have Super Chat, or the PayPal link is in the chat. Otherwise, that's going to be a night for me. I'll be back Friday. Stay tuned on tomorrow. I'm going to put out my November video. Yeah, I'll have other videos throughout the month. General, 1, 2, 3. And this is for Jody. High Priestess, the Emperor, Temperance. Notice that these are 3 major arcana cards. These are 3. 1, 2, 3. There's only 22 in the whole deck, so there's something going on here. Usually when these cards pop up, anything revolving around it is meant to be some kind of like insight that kind of fills in the gaps and the pieces. So High Priestess talks a lot about your vision, your clarity, where you're going. The High Priestess, I see this as kind of being a card that's talking about learning how to be in a meditative state, trusting your intuition, letting things come to you. You may be having thoughts, ideas, visions, intuitions, like it's very sensitive for you this month. And there is a sense of you having a feeling or a vision that calmer energies are coming between you and another person. I don't know if this is like a husband or a boss. The Emperor is coming up reversed. This came up earlier in this evening. I was talking to somebody else and it ended up being her brother, right? So in this case, the Emperor reverse can basically be you going, what's the solution? I'm in a situation where there's a bit of a stalemate with somebody. I'm getting kind of freaked out and paranoid. I'm not hearing from them. We're not as connected. We're not seeing eye to eye. Questions about whether or not you're going to make amends with them, or whether or not you're going to be able to maintain your relationship with somebody, or even your job. I could see the Emperor being reversed as kind of being like an energy in your life right now where it can be a boss that's really challenging. It can be a dominant male figure that's just, you can't please him. He's not happy. He's agitated. There's something about this connection that is frustrating and not moving efficiently, or not really kind of moving forward. There can be some problems here also with his temperament, and that the interaction that you have between the two, like the two of you, like there's some temperament issues where like you're feeling iffy because you're getting vibes from somebody else that, you know, they have a bunch of like pent up anger or aggression, or they're frustrated and they're taking it out on you. So you don't really feel comfortable connecting with this person. Temperance promises that there is going to be healing. There's clearer times coming. Everything's going to kind of pan out. It's going to be fine. You have to let everything kind of fall into place. Realize that if this is just you having some kind of anxiety revolving around your job, it's saying that it's going to clear out, but that certain things need to fall. You know, the Emperor is somebody who guides and basically takes care of people, or watches over his kingdom, and he rules very justly, and he's very fair, and he's protective. But something is going on right now that hasn't been the case. Somebody's been aggressive towards you. Somebody has been unnecessarily kind of abusing their power, using their power, and it's getting you like all kind of anxious, and you're retreating a little bit. But the Temperance card does say like everything is going to even out. Everything is going to get washed out. You're going to see that when the sun comes out, it's going to illuminate the fact that this person has their own anger, their own resentment, whatever. It's not your energy. Temperance can be about cleansing, spiritual cleansing, taking baths, saging, salt scrubbing, things that are about literally removing any kind of toxicity or any negativity from another person. I'm in court with my former partner over my kids after 15 years of being separated. I also have an ex that won't leave me alone. Both similar energies. Okay, so here's what's going on. Retreat. And retreating isn't a sense of you giving up or being weak. The high priestess is saying, like, you're getting so spun out on other people's like anger and their energy and their own frustrations, and they're trying to get a reaction out of you, that you may not be giving them a reaction, but it's having a real spiritual heaviness on your life. And it's also, it's affecting your clarity, right? So there's some sense of you being like, am I crazy? Because these people are making me crazy. The high priestess is not an easy card to have come up. And if you're somebody who reads tarot regularly, it would not surprise me, or maybe you're listening to your monthly horoscope or your monthly tarot readings, or maybe you're getting more into reading for yourself, and it's like you might feel kind of blocked right now, or there's some sense of you not having connection. That's because they're having an effect on you. So first things first is take a step back, protect your energy, be mindful of what you engage with. If you are dealing with these two people, don't go through them, go through the attorneys, and like really try to limit the communication, because they are going to continue to get pissed because they're feeling like they're not having control over you. And these are people who kind of feel like they can have control over you usually. Okay. But Temperance says it's going to heal. Work with archangels, work with Gabriel, work with healers, work with that cleansing, that energy, and realize that everything is going to get balanced out. It's going to take some time, but the less that your energy is available for them to feed off of, the better. And it's going to get so much easier. Okay. And expect frustrations. Lots of temper tantrums is kind of the vibe that I'm getting, but it's going to clear out. Things are going to go a whole lot easier for you, especially once we get into Sagittarius season. Definitely look into cleansing energy, doing a cleansing bath, something. So uncrossing, cutting cords, protecting, like really getting good about maybe doing, your lesser banishing ritual or whatever to really banish that energy out regularly. And you'll know because you'll feel more kind of clear, or your dreams will come through more clear. Well, good for you for leaving. Lots of healing and therapy and taking your power back, huh? Sending you lots of good vibes in the process of that. In order to heal, you need to have your space, People aren't used to boundaries, so when you start asserting yourself and having those boundaries, people who are not used to having them, you can see very quickly the crazy come out. Okay, PC, let me check. Give me just a second. Here we go, Phoebe. Phoebe says, hey Candace, I want a general insight or encouragement or theme of this month. I have a jewelry business and I'm needing to promote it, and I'm usually very busy this time of year. I'm having a hard time getting in touch with my motivation. 0 degrees Virgo rising. 8 degrees Mars in Aqua square Pluto in the 3rd. 8 degrees of Aqua in your 6 square Pluto in the 3rd tells me that because Saturn's going through your 6th house right now and it's conjuncting your Mars, it's really bringing about the energy that you're putting into transforming your schedule and making time for things, coming up with posting schedules, maybe even the fact that you're a little iffy about hiring people to help you because Mars rules your 8th house, helping you with your social media campaigns or whatever, promoting your services or promoting what you sell. So you have to weigh the options and kind of look at it and go, do I either dedicate more time to doing this stuff and creating this time for my promotion of my stuff online, or do I bite the bullet, take out some money, hire people, pay for ads to increase my sales? That's the double-edged sword that you're dealing with right now. 29 degree Libra sun. Whoa. 0 degrees Cancer moon. Venus at 23 Scorpio. I'm thinking about a partnership, moving, and have a lot to figure out in the next 2 months. I'm not as motivated by my career as of late, healing from a 7-year relationship with a Cap rising. I'm really thinking of moving and meeting a partner. I'm hoping not to hear from my ex during the retrograde. I have a new phone number, so I don't know how he could. Thank you. Wow, sounds like you're going through what a lot of other Virgo risings are going through. Like I said, about transit Saturn right now in your 6th, squaring Mars in your 3rd, is how much money or time do you want to put into your resources and your schedule to kind of up the business? If you're feeling a little blah right now about your love life or even about your creative life, I'll tell you that for a Virgo rising to have this Venus retrograde that's coming at the end of December, That's going to conjunct Pluto in your 5th house of true love, healing from an old abusive relationship or one that scarred you, not feeling so creative or open when it comes to your sense of design. It's going to shake out. Like a lot of things in your chart get a whole lot easier from about the end of January on. Jupiter's going to go in your house of relationships. It's going to really expand that, and it's going to help you move into a new relationship. Equally, Jupiter rules your 4th house of home. So I'm liking the vibe that you have about this idea about possibly moving and getting into a new relationship or being open to a new partner. Like the answer is yes, especially if you're doing this in the new year. All roads lead to that. When your 4th house ruler goes into the 7th, you move and then you meet somebody, or you meet somebody who gets you to move. So that's positive. Wait for the Venus retrograde to kind of shake out. I mean, possibly, especially for Virgo risings who are self-employed, you may notice just like a slower holiday season when it comes to selling stuff, but there may also need to be a sense of you being more creative with all the materials that you have. So rather than being like, whatever, I'm not feeling the creativeness, I would go through all your materials, see what you have, and then start coming up with new designs, new creative stuff, things that you can reuse, melt down, or things like that. So that way you can use some of the materials that you have, but it'll be new designs and new ideas, right? And launching that either before December 15th or after the beginning of February is probably best. And if you have Jupiter in the 7th and you're getting ready to have your Jupiter return, it's a really good omen for relationships, especially next spring. I think it's like March, you'll see like Sun, Neptune, Venus, Jupiter, they're all going to be in your 7th house. So there's big changes revolving around relationships for you. So let's see what the cards have to say in terms of encouragement. Okay. Temperance again. Page of Cups. The Lovers. Here's the deal. It's almost like you're in a situation right now where there needs to be a sense of you focusing on healing. Once again, Temperance coming up. It's saying like all in the right timing. Things haven't been right for you to be launching new work stuff. Things haven't been right for you to be focusing on relationships. You haven't quite been there yet. I do get the impression that with Temperance and the Page of Cups reversed, it's like you haven't had enough energy to even fill your own cup. So of course you're not going to feel super motivated by relationships, so you're not going to be too thrilled with what relationships are hanging around, right? The nice thing is that this does kind of talk about the Lovers card, and that things really do open up, and that there is a second path, or there is another person. I'm getting the vibe that it'll either be around Pisces season, or it could be a Pisces. It could be between March and June. It can be that a younger kind of water sign comes in, so a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. There may be a sense of two people. The Lovers card can talk about two options, two choices. Maybe this is about you feeling at a crossroads where you're not going back to your ex, but you haven't completely emotionally dealt with that yet. And there needs to be some kind of cleansing, some clearing that happens. So that way you can be ready for the next divine union that comes. No better time than a Venus retrograde in your 5th. It's about healing the heart, expanding the heart, moving past the heartbreak, moving more in the direction of somebody new. You got an eclipse in your 9th house that's coming here soon. And it's about your beliefs when it comes to security. And it's also going to trine to your 5th house. You're going to see there's an opportunity to learn new techniques with jewelry. There's an opportunity to import or export new products or new materials. There's an opportunity to find love at a distance. You might start connecting and talking to that person at the end of the year, which is really getting the momentum going for you to be able to move in the spring. I see you coming into a healthier relationship by about Gemini season next year. To me, it makes perfect sense because that's all really building February, March, April. By the time you get to mid next year, you'll have a choice. There's an opportunity that there's two people or that there's two paths. You can stay in the past, right? And realize that you're constantly in this habitual sense of, I know I need to heal. I know I need to do the work, but you're not doing it. So if you finally kind of address that, you kind of realize that there are some hurt feelings that have happened, but really the relationship it's interesting, like, you know, healing from a 7-year relationship, that's a Saturn square. I see more clients that break up at 3.5 or 7 years or 14 years than any other time frame. So if something hits 3.5 years, 7 years, and you're breaking up, it was meant to be, it was a Saturn lesson. So in this case, it's like you've already gone through the lesson. Somebody can come in very quickly and be somebody who is ready, but I don't see you looking just for a quick physical connection. To me, it seems like this is more about healing revolving around the ideas of intimacy and whether or not you open yourself up to connecting and being vulnerable with somebody again. And you don't seem too interested in just having a quick physical connection or having a fling or having one night stands. You're not looking for shallow, superficial relationships. It looks like that you're so focused on the healing and you're going to go so deep in the healing that you're going to be like, I don't want something that's like quick, right? You don't want fast food relationships. And it's worth holding out for somebody who you know that you're going to have that security with. So it's working on an emotional, psychological level to kind of get you more so ready for just being vulnerable in a relationship and being with somebody new, because to me, it seems like that has felt kind of weird or wrong for you recently. But somebody else is coming into your life and it's going to be somebody who offers you healing. I don't think it's going to be like you have to do 6 months worth of work and then they show up. You might meet them when you're in the process of going through this the next couple of months. However, people don't show up necessarily at the best time. Sometimes you meet people when you're in your mess. So kind of the feeling that I'm getting from these cards is like, look, you can keep sitting in your mess, but it's going to make it harder for you to fully move into that union together with them next summer, right? Because next summer you may move, you may merge in some way with them. So rather than dragging this out, get ahead of the curve, do the healing so you're ready and you're also feeling that more new creativity and other hobbies, other expressive hobbies are coming in that you fall in love with during that Venus retrograde. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Very exciting to be a woman having a Jupiter return, especially in the 7th house. That's always a really great relationship year. And when it's conjunct Neptune, a couple things I'll tell you. He'll spend a lot of time by the water. He likes to go fishing. He's got family that might be foreign. Maybe he has property by a lake or by the sea. He could be really into Neptunian topics like diving or mysticism, meditation, spiritual healing, metaphysics. It depends on your natal placement of Neptune, but something like this is going to open up. And it's interesting. Page of Cups comes up reverse. So somebody can be hanging around now, but to an extent, you haven't opened yourself up to that. So that person is there. To me, it seems like it's just more a casual connection where it's like, okay, that could be more, but you're not sending the signals that you're open to that, right? And because there's 2 people, I'm going to tell you, whoever's hanging out March through June, that whoever that is, that will be the person. You'll be able to tell. Hopefully that was helpful. I'm glad I was able to come and tune in with you guys and hang out on a Saturday. Definitely the stream was a lot better on a Saturday than it usually is on a Friday. So maybe we'll play around with this a little bit in the future. Higher vibration. Yes. Yeah. Neptune in the 7th has been hard for Virgo risings, but Jupiter tells me that they're going to have some sense of having lived in another place or traveled from another place, or you'll move and then you'll meet them. Also, Venus is going to go retrograde over your Neptune. So, well, not over it, but it'll conjunct it here. So look for those transits when Venus goes into Capricorn. It's going to start. But yeah, guys, I will be back next Friday. We're going to do astrology. Check out my video tomorrow. It's going to come out on the November not horoscopes, but what's going to happen for the month ahead. And I'm working on a couple other videos for you guys on the eclipse videos and also the Venus retrograde videos. So those will all be coming out kind of peppered in. Like I said, I'm going to be out of town, but I'm still going to make sure that content's coming out for you. You want to book a reading with me? I'm happy to see you. I have a couple openings left in December. Otherwise, my end of the year is almost booked. So if you want to get a birthday reading or if you want to get a holiday reading, also we have gift certificates and stuff available if you'd like to do that. Check out my website, beyondtheveiltarot.com. Western evolutionary astrology readings in combination with tarot, accepting new clients. We do sessions via Zoom, so we can do a half hour or a full hour. We do it together and I record it and send you the reading so you can hold on to it, listen to it, and see how those forecasts play out. Check out my social media also if you want to follow me and take a look at what I'm doing. I've got all kinds of memes and other things that I post on my Instagram. Got to keep the people happy and give them what they want. I hope that you guys enjoyed this session. You have any questions, leave me comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and get alerts to when these videos come out. I will see all of you guys tomorrow and also next week with some of the videos that I have, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. You guys take care.